When I saw her again, she was pressed against a wall with her tongue down some brown-haired boy's throat. Lucky guy. The third time I saw her, she was dancing too, smack in between two guys, grinding them as if no one was watching at all. Dirty, dirty girl. Sarah saw me looking and sympathetically said, "You don't need to see that. Go get some fresh air, hun. You look a little flushed." I nodded in thanks and followed up on her advice, making my way outside into the backyard. There was a pool there and loads of drunk people swimming in it, some not even completely dressed anymore. I stared at it, a little repulsed. "Yeah, some people have no morals," said a guy suddenly from beside me. A little startled, I jumped away from him. He had somehow gotten very close without me noticing. Although, with all the noise, it was still hard hearing what he said. He smiled and held up his hands to show me they were empty. "Didn't mean to scare you. See, I'm unarmed." Then he winked mischievously at me. "I'm Fort, by the way." "I'm Brittany," I replied with a smile of my own. This guy seemed nice enough. He looked a little familiar too. Probably attended Westtown High, just like me. "I know," he said with another wink. "Everyone is talking about you and your sister Brittany." "Oh, I didn't know that. Why were they talking about me?" "They're talking about you because of the people you hang out with." "I guess," answered Fort. Apparently I had spoken that thought out loud. "And also because you're really pretty. You know, you might not have noticed, Brittany, but all the guys in school want you. Just as much as they want your sister." I scoffed. "Yeah, right. They don't want me, Fort." "Well, two as a B, but it's nice of you to say that. If they all wanted me so bad, then why didn't they even spare me a glance? Or why didn't even a single one of them come up to me to talk?" They all followed Jennifer around like meek little lambs. Fort laughed a charming laugh. He was handsome, with brown, short, spiky hair and sparkling dark eyes. I'm sure he would have been exactly the right type for Jennifer. I didn't feel impressed after all. He looked nothing like Alexander. Still, his company was nice. So when he asked if I wanted to go somewhere more quiet, away from all the music, I didn't hesitate to say yes. "Always so hard to talk with the music, you know," Fort was saying. "If we go on like this any longer, I won't have any voice left for tomorrow." I nodded my agreement. He took me back inside the house and led me past the dance floor to the hall, then up the stairs. I didn't see Sarah anywhere, but I saw Jennifer looking at me with a strange look on her face. Upstairs, we passed a few doors. Fort opened each one a crack and then closed them again. At last, he found an empty room apparently and pulled me inside. The music wasn't as loud as it was in the garden or downstairs, so we didn't have to yell to talk. He sat me down on the edge of a bed and plopped down next to me, stretching out on his back. "You're pretty cool, Brittany. You should be the popular one, not your sister." I shook my head. "Don't make fun of me." But I smiled at him anyway. He was smiling so warmly at me now, and his laughter was very infecting. We lapsed into an easy conversation again. It was starting to get late. It seemed like I had been talking to Fort for quite a while now. He was openly flirting with me and didn't seem ashamed of it at all. It was both a little disconcerting and flattering at the same time. "I think I should go and find Sarah. She's probably looking for me now," I said as I realized I had totally ditched my friend just to talk to this guy. It felt a bit like I was doing something wrong. In fact, I didn't understand why I had followed him up here in the first place. Sure, his company was nice, but it didn't feel right. Everyone knew going up here usually meant something along the lines of sex. That was probably why he checked all those rooms so carefully, making sure I couldn't see. The bed we were sitting on seemed 10 times smaller than before, and I hurriedly scrambled to my feet. "Yeah, I think I ought to go find her." "Already? Just when things are getting interesting," Fort said with another devious smile. He grabbed hold of my hand and pulled me back down with him. I was a lot closer to him now than before, and suddenly I realized that I could smell alcohol on him. "Fort, I really should go. Sarah is looking for me." I hoped that was true and that at any minute now, she'd burst through the door to get me away from there. The boy had lost all his charm from before. It really seemed as if he transformed from easygoing and relaxed to angry. A strange snarl passed his lips, and then suddenly he was on top of me, pushing me down roughly with his body weight and his hands. His lips attached themselves to mine forcefully, and I tried desperately to push him away. Moving my head sideways helped a little. His lips were on my cheek now. It didn't stop him from trailing kissed over the exposed skin all the way to my ear where he bit down on my earlobe. "Let go. Stop it." I yelled, but my hands were trapped uselessly underneath his heavy chest. He was forcing my legs apart with his knees. Somehow my black dress had already ridden up to expose my panties and part of my stomach. Why was he so bloody heavy? Why couldn't I fight him? I had never felt so helpless and so defenseless, and above all, so stupid in my entire life. One hand had roughly taken hold of my breast, and he was squeezing hard enough that I moaned in pain. "Stop it," I whimpered as desperate tears started forcing their way out from beneath my lashes. "I know you want me, baby. You like this, don't you?" Fort was saying. "No, I don't. Let go of me, you asshole." I screamed as I hit him as hard as I could with my free hand on his head and neck and shoulder. Anywhere I could reach him. He grunted in pain when my fist struck his eye and then raised himself so he could get a better grip on both my hands. It meant my left leg suddenly had more space to move, and I prayed, "Please let this work. Please." Drawing back my leg, I brought up my knee as hard as I could, rejoicing when Fort screamed out in pain. He doubled over, grabbing for his crotch, moaning and cursing my name, but I was already pulling down my dress and running out the door. I hoped he couldn't walk for days. I was still crying as I dashed down the stairs, straight through the living with its crowded mass of people. Then finally, I was out the door and pounding down the street as fast as I could. I never, ever wanted to go back there, and I certainly never wanted to see that fort ever again. I'd only gone as far as a few streets when I stumbled and twisted my ankle, all due to those stupid heels. I didn't bother getting up, but just brought my knees to my chest, hugging them tightly as I cried. How could I have been so stupid? I walked right into that. What was wrong with me? Shivering, I clutched my arms more tightly around my body. I could still feel his hands on me, his lips, feel him touching me. Oh God, he'd just gone and stolen my first kiss. I had let some idiot steal my very first kiss. The thought made me cry even harder. Stupid, 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 stupid. This was all my own fault. Shh. It's not your fault, never your fault. You're safe now, it's okay. I promise you're safe, I'll protect you always. "Nobody is going to harm you," a soothing voice with a British accent whispered into my ear. I would recognize that voice out of a million, and I didn't push him away when he wrapped strong, warm arms around me. Easily, he lifted me off the ground, pressing my face into the crook of his neck tightly. Tears were still pouring from my eyes, soaking his shirt, but he didn't let go when I tried pushing away. He was still whispering an endless stream of soothing words, all delivered in that enchanting accent. I had the feeling of motion, but with my face pressed against his neck, I couldn't see anything. Was he taking me somewhere? Focusing on that stream of words for a moment, I realized he was telling me he was taking me home. It was interspersed between all the "you're safe, I'll protect yous." Warmth hit my body and I heard a door close. Then I was shifted in his arms as he sat down, holding me in his lap. Only then did he let go enough so that I could pull my face away from the crook of his neck. I almost didn't. It felt nice to hide there. "Bob? Go check on Sarah. I didn't have time for that," Alexander said out loud suddenly. The loud noise made me flinch, and it resulted into him spewing another stream of calming comments. He was stroking my back now, tracing patterns again. My body was still in a panic state, shivering, my fists clutching tightly onto his shirt, my heart beating rapidly in my throat, tears pouring down my cheeks. I tried to focus on his embrace and his calming voice, but it was hard. The memories of what had just happened kept resurfacing. On top of that, my mind kept blaming myself for being so stupid and following that boy upstairs in the first place. I should have noticed what his intentions were. My sight was blurry and I kept my eyes downcast. I was too afraid to see the accusation in Alexander's eyes. He must think I was stupid too, especially because Sarah had made it seem like we both wanted attention. "Shh, Britt, it's okay. I got you, promise," Alexander was saying when at long last I had calmed down enough to stop my sobbing. At the moment, I was still clutching his shirt tightly as I cried into it, but he could tell I'd calmed down somewhat because he'd stopped whispering and was instead just pressing me tightly to him. It felt a little as if he was afraid to let go. I had this strangest feeling that I wasn't alone in my head, my thoughts slowly filling with warmer, more pleasant things. Like the white beach I used to spend all my days in the summer at. Whatever presence filled my mind, it touched everything with gentle caresses, making me feel loved and safe above all else. Briefly, I wondered if it was my mother, but at that thought, Alexander chuckled softly. It made his chest vibrate against my cheek, and without my consent, a soft moan escaped my lips. The feeling of his chest moving so warmly against me had sent hot tingles through my body. At the sound, Alexander froze underneath me, and then I heard a groan, soft, almost muted, as if he tried to keep it in. "Britt," his voice whispered silkily after a while, "will you tell me what happened?" His voice was very gentle, but it wasn't hard to hear the underlying anger, barely contained. Curled up against him, warm and feeling safe in his arms, I had almost fallen asleep. comforted by that warm caress on my mind. I stiffened, worried the anger in his voice was meant for me. "Shh, it's all right. You don't have to tell me," he said, rubbing my back soothingly. My mind suddenly felt swollen with all the warmth and love. Love? I was sure that was it, although I had no clue if this was coming from Alexander or if I was just imagining things. It wouldn't surprise me if I was, after all that had happened tonight. "He touched me," I croaked, my voice hoarse from crying so much in such a short time. "Alexander made the strangest sound I'd ever heard a human make," he growled. "Like a real animal would? A predator?" I shivered and couldn't stop myself from looking up at his face. He looked angry, his eyes so dark they almost appeared black. That had to be a trick of the light. It wasn't possible for eyes to have that color. But his touch was very soft when he ran his fingertips over my cheek, down to my throat. He let them rest on the pulse there. I swallowed and found myself saying, "He stole my first kiss." My first kiss. Shivering, I added, "He stole everything." I kept saying no. I kept pushing and hitting him. Another growl erupted from Alexander's throat, loud enough to make my ears ring. Definitely not a sound a human should be able to make.